Hi, I'm Tony Williams, and this is Brooklyn Savvy. Hi, I'm Tony Williams, and this is Brooklyn Savvy. We're here today to talk about health disparities and how they impact health outcomes of people, of New Yorkers, basically. And we're going to be talking to Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation with Tracy Capers and with Michelle Page from EmblemHealth to see the kinds of partnerships that you all have developed that are here to address these issues. We also have Kate Harris, Director of Nutrition from AdvantageCare Physicians. And we have Dr. Monica Sweeney. She's very dear to Brooklyn Savvy. She is part of the Health Disparities Coalition, and you're also a professor at SUNY Downstate. So thank you all so much for joining us. And so let's start now by talking about what is a health disparity?
This is a simple definition.
Okay.
And there are broader definitions, but a health disparity is an outcome that is inferior to outcomes of other groups based on basically based on social factors that make their health outcomes worse than other people.
So what would some of those social factors look like? Give us an example.
The social factors look like almost everything. Housing, unemployment. Let's start with education. Because people who are better educated, even if they don't have money, they know how to negotiate the system and have better outcomes than people who are not. So education is key to fixing it. Housing, employment, and of course, income.
Right.
And I just want to bring up one fact here to let you know how bad it is. Even in New York City, until 2013, when many low-wage earners couldn't take off a single day from work.
Right, that was just recent.
Until 2013, to go to their doctors. So you look at that and say, how can they have anything but poor health outcomes with all of the social factors? Less education about what to do for themselves, distrust of the system, with good reason, and no time to take off from work. So if you have the flu, you go to work and spread it to everybody, and you take longer to get well. So there are lots of factors that have to do with health outcomes, and I'm not going into biology because that's overplayed.
Right, race, what does
I'm not going into the race of it. I will say something about race, and that is, if you look at hypertension in the United States, who's most affected by hypertension? African Americans.
Right.
If you go to Ghana, for example, if someone has hypertension or diabetes, you know they're middle class.
Really?
Because they've adopted our way of life, and they don't have hypertension and diabetes normally. So it's not our genes that's doing this, it's a lot of other things. And the stress of living when you're poor and the landlord's knocking on the door and your kids are out and you're worried if they're gonna make it home, walking while black, and all of the impact of what it means to be discriminated against with the constant epinephrine, adrenaline pumping. You're always in a state of fight or flight, and that makes for bad health outcomes.
That's interesting, because I don't even know what something like that would feel like, quite honestly.
That's right.
We don't know what it feels like.
That is exactly right.
So it sounds like, from what I've been able, my research tells me that Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation and EmblemHealth have come together to address these health disparities. Tracy, can you talk to us a little bit about, I guess, the Live Healthy Partnership? And I'm also going to ask you that as well, Michelle. But why don't you...
Yeah, but I guess I want to start by saying why restoration is involved in this overall effort in health disparities is because, you know, as Monica pointed out poignantly, is that health disparities is key. We must address health disparities in low-income neighborhoods. And in a neighborhood where bedside restoration works, you know, we really see it as a key and integral community development strategy. How do you ensure they have better educational outcomes? How do you ensure that people have better jobs, succeed in the workplace, and take care of their families? We need to make sure we're taking care of what they're eating and how they're being active, you know, in the neighborhood. We are actually working on several levels, at the borough level, the central Brooklyn level, as well as the bedside level, with the health department, EmblemHealth, and a couple of other funders, and actually also a coalition of 100 not-for-profit organizations throughout the borough to address health disparities. So what we're looking at doing is, how do you change environments? How do you change environments so that people can make the healthy choice the easy choice? So what we're really trying to do is, how do you change environment, change systems so that people can make the right and easy choice?
Excellent. So Michelle, talk to us about the Live Healthy partnership.
Well, one of the reasons we partnered with the Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation
It's a
is
mouthful.
because EmblemHealth believes it takes a series of small steps to achieve a healthy lifestyle. And our Small Steps logo is a neighborhood by neighborhood campaign that encourages everyone to live healthier by taking small, manageable actions one day at a time. So the Small Steps campaign is everything that Emblem believes in. Our tagline, "What Care Feels Like," is not just a tagline. It defines us as a company, and it keeps us focused on care. But more importantly, caring for people. So our goal is really just to help people stay healthy, get well, and live better. And so out of that commitment comes all of our health and wellness programs that we sponsor in the community free of charge.
See, that's the operative word. But so what came first? Did you all bring the idea to restoration, or was it one of those things that the community was starting to want to address this whole issue of disparities? How did the partnership, how was it formed?
Well, I mean, I guess what I would say is that, we've been working on health disparities for the last, 3 to 5 years, working with the health department.
Actually longer.
Longer, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
because-
Restoration's been around for 50 years.
Longer.
And we've always been changing environments so that people can make the right choice. We brought in a supermarket. We helped to bring in a health center. So we brought in Applebee's in the neighborhood. So what we always looking to do is bring in new venues and businesses, and to ensure that people have the right healthy options.
Absolutely.
Low cost exercise. So I
So
think,
isn't it free though? Didn't you mention that this is free, right?
It's all
Right?
free. And
Right.
one of the things that we do when we're looking at an organization that we might want to partner with,
yes.
we first carefully review their vision and their mission to see if it aligns with our goal to improve the health and wellness of all New Yorkers.
Because your approach is very diverse from what I've been noticing with the 12 organizations that you partner with.
We partner with several organizations. We look to see if the organization is New York based. We also have an internal committee that reviews proposals and makes a recommendation to provide a grant to an organization, and then we look to align with them to make a difference in a neighborhood that doesn't have access to healthy fresh fruits and vegetables. So the Bedford Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation fell right into what we look at. We partner with them on farmers markets. We're one of their partners in the Marcy Plaza Market. We're actually having our ribbon cutting next week on the 15th. We support a full-time market manager at that market. We do healthy cooking demonstrations to people who come to the farmers markets, and we highlight.
And didn't you have a teen battle chef kind of a thing? Talk to us a little bit about that, because I thought that was so interesting.
Oh, sure. We worked with 3 high schools in Brooklyn, Washington Heights, and Harlem on an 8-week cooking curriculum. So we introduce kids to foods that they've never heard of before, like sorrel and kale. And
They must not be from the islands.
And so we teach them that not only how to make healthy, delicious foods, but just because it's healthy doesn't mean it can't taste good.
And I think that would be a perfect segue into what you do, Kate, which is this whole nutrition counseling. And with diabetes being one of those diseases that is, I guess, epidemic in central Brooklyn?
word.
Yeah. Talk to us about your work with nutrition and then counseling people that have diabetes.
Well, first of all, I want to say that having these programs in the community is vital for this to make sure that people are able to have the access to the resources and the motivation and the encouragement to continue these healthy lifestyles. So I'm part of AdvantageCare Physicians, and we're a very large multi-specialty physician group, and we have offices in Brooklyn and all the boroughs. So in the community, in order to have the individualized approach for each person, each family to actually have, it's good to have the resources for these community events and the cooking classes and the demos and the free resources. But when you go into the healthcare realm and you're seeing your physician, it's good to have customized care so that when you work with a registered dietitian nutritionist or sort of a diabetes educator, that's actually a vital part of the care. And there's a lot of research showing that people who receive diabetes self-management education have much better outcomes and fewer complications, especially for diabetes.
So what would that look like? Meal planning, when you talk about diabetes education, what?
So because we bundle it with medical nutrition therapy and diabetes self-management, we look at the whole person and look at any barriers to care, self-management care, which includes where are they getting their groceries, what can they afford, what's accessible in their neighborhoods, how many people are in their household that they have to worry about feeding and making sure that they're taking into account their health issues. So we personalize, with each patient, the care that we give to make sure that they really have the tools and resources and encouragement, support they need to make their lives a lot healthier.
Is this something that is available to people in the partnership that you're involved in at Restoration?
So the way I look at it is, so we are part of a medical practice. So, but what we like to do is get involved in the community and to steer people towards what's available for you in your community. So we always, print out a whole list with the maps of where these are all the farmers markets. These are where you can get these free services. For exercise, we talk about Shape Up New York and all the free exercise programs people who can't afford a gym can go to. And we partner with any of the Emblem programs that we have in Cambria Heights and Harlem and in Chinatown.
So let's get back to that farmers market. You're partnering with?
So we partner with Brooklyn Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation. We also partner with Grow NYC and Harvest Home. We have, like I said, cooking demonstrations where we highlight a produce and one of the recipes that we cooked that day, and we give recipe cards with the recipe that we cooked that people can take home.
Now these foods are culturally appropriate?
Yes, they're culturally appropriate. We also have a physical presence at some of these farmers markets at least once a month where we give out health and wellness information.
So that's the health education component to this?
Exactly, and we do BMI screening as well.
Oh, wow.
You're gonna bring your experience truck.
Right.
What is it called?
The
An
experience
truck where we, it's a big emblem truck with our logo and everything on it, and people can come in and get information about health.
So it's like a
wellness.
van kind of a
Right,
thing.
exactly.
Right.
Like for instance, we partner with the New York Junior Tennis League on an educational nutrition program which serves over about 2,000 elementary school kids in an after-school program, and it has a
Dealing
parent.
with obesity?
Well, it has a parent component,
Right.
which we talk about eating healthy and exercising, but the good thing about it that I like is that we have a card that's called a Bodega Buddy, and that the kids can clip onto their backpack, and it's a reminder of how to read food labels. And it gives them suggestions on snacks, so when they go for lunch to buy something, they can actually read the food label.
Are they compliant? Or do you see compliance going on? Meaning, are you seeing engagement at the hyper-local level with these programs?
Oh, sure. I mean, the partnership that we have with Emblem is phenomenal. So we've had a 2-year partnership with them. They sponsored our farmers market. This is our second year of partnership on our farmers market, and our first year of partnership with the Live Healthy program. And I want to talk about the Live Healthy program in specific because we just became a partner in March. So we're doing two things. things. We're doing weekly exercise, Mondays and Wednesdays at Restoration. But then we're also...
Where are you doing it at Restoration?
And we have an outdoor...
In the plaza?
In the plaza, right? An outdoor amphitheater.
Outdoors.
In the winter, we go inside in the community room. But then...
All ages?
Oh,
or-
it's amazing. So here's the thing. The goal was to have 25 people come to the class. We have, on average, 100 people that come to the class.
Out there
and
exercising?
it's the most beautiful sight. It's like intergenerational. It's 6 years old to like 75, and it's amazing. And I get like choked up when I think about it, because the woman who teaches the class, she's such an inspiring woman. Her name is Nikisha Ross, always fit for life. She lost like 100 pounds, and as a result, now she's teaches these exercise classes. But because of EmblemHealth, we're able to sponsor these classes, for the community. So people can't always afford to go to the gym, and they also want community in their community. So they are able to like exercise with their friends and meet new friends.
How does this make you feel when you hear about these kinds of activities going on, or have they been going on for some time and we just didn't know about it?
I was just saying before to Tracy that she was talking about they've been doing it for 5 years or so. Well, I worked in Bed-Stuy for almost 18 years in the Family Health Center. We were working with Bedford Stuyvesant then to work on some of these same kinds of programs where Restoration would go into the homes of our children with asthma. We had an asthma program that we got funded to work with them. And they would go in the homes and inspect the homes to see what in their environment was contributing to them having asthma. Because if you treat a child with asthma and send them back to the same environment, they just get asthma again. And so we've worked with Restoration for a long time, many more than 5 years, because I left there now 9 years ago, and that was earlier. Absolutely.
So this is hyper-local intervention in a sense? Was that what that would be? Meaning the fact that we're right in people's, you're meeting people where they are.
You're meeting people where they are.
Right.
Yeah.
Meeting people where they are.
And I'm glad that you talked about label reading. Somebody mentioned it. People are so bad at reading labels, and sometimes they're written to deceive. Now, I shouldn't say to deceive, but they're so unclear you're not sure what they mean. And I'm a physician with 3 specialties, and sometimes I read the labels and I have questions. So we have to be sure to help people and to help them know that it's okay not to know, and to ask questions of the CDEs or whomever else. That can help them.
Where does money enter into all this? Like, you're at the farmer's market. I was reading about something called Health Bucks. What is Health Bucks?
Yeah. Well, Health Bucks is a program of the Department of Health where for every $2, for every $5 you spend, a customer can spend, they receive $2 in Health Bucks. So that means, they can increase their shopping by 40%.
Right?
Yeah.
That's
So
smart.
basically,
That's
if you're on SNAP, EBT, you can go shop at a farmer's market and use your Health Bucks.
And I know Grow NYC and Harvest Home accepts Health Bucks.
So also, most farmers markets accept Health Bucks.
Now, there's also a technology piece to this. Can you talk to us about that, Michelle?
Yes, we have what we call our small apps. And it's an application that you can download onto your iPhone or Android or tablet. And basically it tells you where all of these health and wellness programs are. So say for instance, we're right here in Brooklyn and we want to find out where there's a farmer's market. So we can go into the app and we can find out where there's a farmer's market. Or if we're looking for an exercise class, we can go into the app and find out where there's an exercise class. So it's, like I said, it's a neighborhood by neighborhood campaign that encourages everyone to live healthier.
Now, what about organic food choices? Are they available at this?
Yeah, so in the farmers market, some vendors actually have the certification for organic. Other farmers may have organic farming practices, but they may not pay to get that certification. And because of Health Bucks, people are able to stretch their dollar when they do go to the farmers market. So it's up to them whether or not they want to, what they want to spend on. And usually if you're buying seasonal, it's going to be less expensive than buying something in the middle of the winter out of season. And we encourage people when we work with their budgets to buy things and freeze them if they're not going to eat it right away to help them stretch out their food so they're not going to waste.
And I wanted to talk a little bit about diabetes because it's rampant again. We spoke about it earlier. But how does someone know they have it? You know, what would be the symptoms? And then once they have it, how do you coach them around this is an illness that you have? You need to stop eating the sugars and that kind of thing.
You know, it's important for people to realize that diabetes is a spectrum. And many of the complications of diabetes are diagnosed at the time that people are first diagnosed with diabetes. So that what we need to talk about, and I call obesity a gateway disease.
Okay.
Because when you are obese, you are much more likely to become diabetic, and you're much more likely to get hypertension. Now, as a person who was formerly obese, now one woman recently who got painted in, did you read about the 3 voluptuous, whatever the culturally appropriate words are for fat? They got painted nude in 42nd Street.
To celebrate
their size.
Their fullness.
Okay, their fullness.
Their full body.
And she said she doesn't want to be called overweight because that's a value judgment. She wants to be called fat. So whatever word you prefer, we need to look at the health implications.
Right.
You can be very gorgeous and be a plus size.
Absolutely.
So it's not about how you look. And my West Indian patient said there's a moldy piece of cheese for every moldy biscuit. So you don't have to think about getting a partner if you're obese. It's about health.
Yes.
And it causes so many, the leading cause of blindness in adults is diabetes. And your kidneys are getting beaten up, your brain is getting beaten up, and now they're equating diabetes with the same as having had one heart attack. So the reason we focus on obesity, and there are specific guidelines for when people are overweight versus obese versus morbidly obese. Sticking to the right nutritious program and exercising, not belonging to a gym, and exercising is the best treatment for pre-diabetics to delay becoming full diabetics. And it is very easy to do if you have somebody to coach you.
And that's where you come in, Kate, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right.
So the first, the standards of care for diabetes is to first introduce diet, lifestyle, weight loss, and that's where we come in as diabetes educators. And when people come in to see us, they're either petrified that they're going to lose their limbs or go blind immediately, or they're afraid of taking insulin, like that's the worst part of having diabetes. But we explain, that with the right self-care behaviors and the support from the communities to make it easy to make the right lifestyle choices. So we say, for people with diabetes that no food is off limits, but you might want to focus your attention to eating the most nutritious, health supportive foods, and to be judicious of when you're going to splurge and have
binge,
something.
huh?
I wouldn't use the word binge,
Don't
but
binge, right.
how to fit things in and make it them more like sometimes indulgences versus a daily type of thing.
Is eating a lot of sugar a potential, and I know it creates obesity, but is that a potential cause for becoming diabetic? If you're eating too many, I guess so, fattening foods?
A lot has to do with your pancreas's ability to keep up with pumping out insulin.
Okay.
And so many times people have insulin around, but the insulin doesn't act the way it should. It's not that they don't even have insulin, but because of the fat cells, the insulin can't be used to absorb the glucose. So it's not just eating sugar, but eating sugar is bad for you anyway. I mean, I just have to say it, It's bad for your teeth, it's bad for your skin, it's bad for your weight, it's just bad.
Now, Tracy, success stories, has all of this worked?
I mean, I got tons of success stories, but we don't have time. But I'm a success story, similar to you. I mean, since we've been doing the health disparity, like really getting deeper into health disparities at Restoration.
It raises consciousness.
No, I've had to look at myself because it's like, I've had to look at if I'm going to be a spokesperson for the community and for my team, am I making the right choice? You know, what am I eating? Am I going to get Kentucky Fried Chicken across the street? Am I going to exercise? So I really changed my life over the last, couple years, and I've lost, about 50 pounds.
You look fantastic.
50 pounds.
Right. You're an inspiration, Tracy.
And so, no, but I guess when I came to Restoration, and you know that,
That
I've been
you
here
were
for a
50
long
pounds,
time.
yeah,
I
right.
was 50,
Right.
yeah, because there was
Smaller,
not
right.
a lot of good, healthy.
Where could you go to eat? That's part of the
I
problem.
went to
What the choices?
I went to the
You went
fried
across the
chicken
street.
place.
You went across the
And
street.
so I realized that I had to make a change because of these programs. But what's interesting about having the cooking demonstrations, the exercise, and the farmers market, we got lots of success stories. Specifically, a couple of people come to mind recently. There was a woman who's been taking our exercise class Mondays and Wednesdays since March, and she was high blood pressure, right? High blood pressure, and she was taking high blood pressure medicine, and she stopped, because, it went down.
One of the burning questions I have is, now you're talking about how successful this is.
Yeah.
So why did Emblem
Right.
Healthcare Partners choose to do this? Because, we think of, Emblem Healthcare Insurance Company, why did you all decide to take this initiative on?
Well, this initiative began as a way to demonstrate what care feels like and to make a difference in the underserved communities. Our fresh
So it
fruits-
came from the right place.
That's right.
That's good.
So our Fresh Fruits and Vegetables initiative that we work with the farmers markets in the summer, and our fitness and health and wellness programs that we do all year round really is something that helps people stay healthy, get well, and live better.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to close the program. Thank you, ladies. This was wonderful. Thank you, Michelle, for all of your good advice, as well as with Kate and Dr. Sweeney, and of course, Tracy Capers, advocating for Bed-Stuy restoration and the people of Central Brooklyn and beyond. That's all the time we have for this episode of Brooklyn Savvy. We'll see you next time at Brooklyn Savvy.